Listen, if high-speed 3D platformers are your thing, you need to stop watching and go play this game right now. And hell, even if they're not your thing, if at any point in this video you look at this and think, wow, that seems fun to play, I want you to stop watching. I'm putting this video out there because I want to talk about my experiences with this game, my opinions about this game, and so I will be going over it quite thoroughly, right? So yeah, this is my disclaimer, essentially, because I want people to experience this game, well, in any way possible, really, preferably themselves, but if it's through me, regardless, I want you to know about Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. It's not very often a game comes out of nowhere, I know nothing about it, and it's now a contender for my Game of the Year. And we've only just gone past halfway through. I know there's a lot of stuff coming out in the next handful of months, but I don't think anything's gonna beat this. And one of the most unfortunate things is that I've barely seen anyone talk about this game. So I know I had to do it. I had to throw my hat in the ring. I need to talk about this game. It is amazing. Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom promotes itself as a vibrant love letter to the N64 era of platformers, and the main thing they focus on is that you're going to be flipping and diving and spending so much time in the air despite not having a jump button. And oh boy, yeah, they're right. One of the big things about this game for me is the movement tech. And yeah, while the game doesn't have a jump button, there are definitely ways to jump. And if you want to see all the game has to offer, you're going to have to master these movement skills. The oil company Tulsa is corrupting all the oil with the energy of some strange green gears. And you, the little spring-powered yellow taxi, need to go out and save the world. Using the power of the flipper wheel, you use your willpower to dash forward. This special power turns any sloped surface into a ramp to jump from. So it's now your job to dash and dive around the level, collecting as many green gears as possible. And really, that's all the plot we get at the start. And honestly, I don't think we need much more than that. This game wastes no time getting you into the action. A little intro cutscene, a small tutorial on what to collect, and then you're off. You pretty much get the flipper wheel 5 minutes into the game, and then you're dashing and flying everywhere, collecting coins and picking up gears. And while I would say that this game is a collectathon, I would say it hangs in between Mario 64 and Super Mario Odyssey in terms of the amount of collectibles, but not Banjo-Kazooie in the amount of different things to collect. Did that make sense? Of course, the main collectible are the green gears. Collecting a certain amount will unlock the next level for you to then collect more and unlock the next, and so on and so on. But you'll notice we can also collect coins, and those coins are for buying hats, which are purely cosmetic. Most of the hats you'll find are in hat shops around the various levels, but every now and then you will come across a hat that's out in the wild. This is a collectible that has no effect in the game whatsoever. You just wear it to look cool. Except in two particular scenarios. But that would be a spoiler. But also, this is a spoiler. There is one other thing you collect, but that's more for late game stuff, so we'll get into that later. In terms of the difficulty getting these collectibles, I think the game's fairly balanced. Some of the gears are out in the open, you can see them from a mile away. A few of them are hidden behind NPC interactions, and also a few of them are just hidden. Occasionally, you'll also come across challenge levels which require you to do a specific thing in a certain amount of time to then get rewarded with a gear. So there are quite a lot of ways to get your gears, and you don't have to collect all of them to beat the game. In fact, the amount that you need to continue through the game is quite casual. Likely as you just explore the level naturally, you'll get enough gears to continue on. Funnily enough, it's coins that you kind of need to go out of your way to collect if you want to collect many hats. And the coins are also the way the game punishes you if you die. If you fall off the map and get a timeout, all you do is lose coins. But believe me, some of these levels will have you falling out of them quite often, so it can be surprisingly frustrating, especially if you're trying to save up for a hat you like. I genuinely think that the game flow is really well done. While the gameplay and all the things around it might be hectic and fast, the actual progression is done at a fairly reasonable pace. I do feel it proper to point this out though. While I didn't feel this personally, some people didn't like that occasionally the game will change up the control scheme. While a majority of the game is spent with the camera behind you and you control like a normal driving game, there are a few sections where the camera will pull up top top while giving you pretty much direct control. Like right makes you move right and down makes you move down. I know some people complained about it, but I don't think it happens enough for it to be a mark against it, in my opinion. God, playing this game is such a huge joy for me. I had such a big smile on my face while going on this adventure. The presentation also just completely panders to me. It looks great. It sounds great. I'm actually having a bit of trouble deciding what topic I should start with, so I guess we'll go for graphics. Man, I don't know what suddenly spiked the trend of going for retro style graphics. We've got a lot of PS1-esque horror games coming out as of late, but I absolutely love this aesthetic of like modern retro. Like, oh my god, it so panders to my tastes, probably because I grew up with that kind of graphic style. I just love the way this game looks. They said they were going for N64 inspired, and I definitely see that. But my god, it's so colorful, it's so bright, it's so flashy. I love everything about this. Listen, there's one weird thing you're gonna find out about me when it comes to arcade style stuff like this. The brighter the colors, the more insane the flashing, the rainbow colors. I love that. I will eat that up. I adore a visually stimulating game. Like, just inject it into my eyes. Thankfully, if you do find this a bit much, there are some things you can tone down. I know that some people really don't like all the flashing all the time, so you can actually reduce that. There's quite a few graphic settings in this, actually. Being able to lower the resolution, and it doesn't lower the resolution of the screen, but more the resolution that the game just renders in, which can make it look very retro. And there's also some accessibility options as well. And that's just like colors and aesthetic choices of visual effects. Like, the models here are amazing. They've done wonders with the low poly aesthetic. Like, look at this. It's a pizza man. Pizza man. And then the animations to make them all bouncy and lively. You could legit just stay in one place and look at the map, and there'd be so much movement just constantly going on. And then, of course, you're just zooming through with your sparks and colors and stars flying off you, all while you have these really intense yet awesome arcade sound effects exploding and sparkling alongside this absolutely insane soundtrack. God, and if it sounds like I'm already gushing, you ain't heard nothing yet. It all clicked when I got to Bomb Beach, because in some levels, you actually need help from other people to wind your springs so you don't stop moving. And this is where the taxi part comes in. So if you're used to Crazy Taxi, this won't seem too out of nowhere for you. You pick up someone, they tell you where to go, and you get there as fast as possible. Each time you do this, they give you extra time, and they might give you a gear. But oh my god, the mixture of the fast gameplay, the music, the sound effects, it was then it all clicked. It was then I knew this was special. It solidified this track, Bomb Beach, being my favorite in the game. Honestly, the entire soundtrack is amazing. There isn't a bad song on here. Well, there is a questionable song, but that's not because the song is bad, it's rather the subject matter. When they're not hyping you up with these amazing fast-paced tracks, there's some really nice slower pieces to enjoy as well. But in general, the soundtrack enhances the chaos this game so deliberately goes for, which in some cases, that chaos could be a downside. If I was to think about a negative thing to say about the game, immediately I would think to say, this game is intense. Like, it's a lot. It might actually be too much for people. Just seeing the gameplay footage is one thing. Actually playing the game is exhausting. Like, for me, that's great. I enjoy the fact that it goes full throttle and never breaks. When I streamed the game, I had people in my chat saying it was hard for them to watch. And also, to be fair, everyone else had trouble watching because this game was so colorful, my bitrate suffered very much. But really, that's the only negative thing I can think of. Well, I suppose that the humor could be hit or miss. The game certainly goes for a comedic tone throughout the whole experience. Whether it be through the writing or the models or the level itself, there's always some gag going on. For example, my favorite happens to just be that one of the NPCs that you help looks like Goku. Obviously, it's our creator, dressed like Goku, and he's not on a mission for balls this time. I mean, the whole level that this guy is in is absolutely crazy. But there are some jokes that don't really hit for me. For example, the poop level. Oh boy, haha, funny. And to be fair, it was kind of amusing because of how out there it was. I wasn't expecting this at all. Maybe that was the intent. I don't know. The music though, what? But there are definitely more hits for me than there are misses. For example, going into the gym was the funniest thing ever. And just hearing this, I just love that it is a perfect blend of a really competent and fun game mixed with shitpost memery. And I feel like I've shown you quite a lot about why I really like this game. Except for the moveset, which I'm about to talk about. It is one of those things though where I feel like talking about it now might be a make or break for you, but it would also spoil part of the experience in figuring out the movement tech. It's again one of those things where like I really want to talk about it and why I love it, but at the same time, in case you haven't played this before, like I don't want to ruin that, you know? But hey, there's your warning. Let's continue. So the movement tech of this taxi is insane, and I love it because the flipper wheel is so versatile. And the thing is, right, I'm sure you've seen me do it in the various clips of gameplay I've shown before this, but to say there isn't a jump button, which is technically true, is also not true. One of the things I like about the way that this game does movement and introducing you to the movement system is that you actually have everything at your disposal from the very beginning. As soon as you get the flipper wheel, every single move the game teaches you as you progress, you could technically do at any point from the very moment you've got the ability. And let me tell you, playing through the game from the start again, knowing this, it changes the way you approach things so much. And that's actually the reason I wanted to talk about this in a separated section. I really like that they have NPCs sprinkled around, some that you might not run into for a while, that slowly teach you your movement tech. Because the thing is, if you experiment and just hit buttons as you're like going around the map, you might accidentally do some of these moves. And then you're like, whoa, what did I just do there? Can I do that again? How'd I do that? To then maybe think you have something figured out, only for the NPC later to be like, did you know that you can do this if you do this? The amount of times I was like, I knew it! I knew I could do something with this! And these NPCs are strategically put in places where you need to use the ability they're talking about pretty much right away. And in doing so, it starts to make you rethink of all of the levels you've been through previously, and it unlocks all of this knowledge of like, wait, I bet I could do this here. But the fact that you can do it at any point without these NPCs telling you can is what makes me love it, is because if you experiment, if you try things, you could figure it out by yourself. So the flipper wheel is a dash. You dash forward, you spin a little bit, and then you thrust in the direction you're facing. But that spin at the very beginning is quite important. That small window gives you enough time to modify what you're about to do. For example, if you hit the flipper wheel again, you essentially spin out and bounce. At first, I thought it was a punishment for spamming the dash button, but then I noticed, wait, I get some height with this. And that is when I started to think differently. So what can this little guy do? Well, he can dash with the flipper wheel, but pressing it again before the dash will make you jump. Providing you've jumped from the ground, the flipper wheel actually regenerates really quickly after this first jump, meaning you can use it again straight after, which means you could dash forward after getting a bit of height. Or you could interrupt it again and essentially double jump. This concept also applies if you dash off of a ramp. You can get insane height with a ramp jump and then also jump after the fact or dash forward. Another way to interrupt the flipper wheel is to hit the reverse button, which essentially makes you do a high backwards jump. I actually think you go twice as high with this version versus doing it normally. Downside is you're doing it backwards, so you can't really see where you're going. But again, it can be comboed, so you do it a second time. And there's actually more benefits to being able to do it this way, because if you hold left or right, instead of going backwards, you essentially sideways jump, which you don't have to do that on the first jump, so you could jump backwards really high, do it again, but this time go in a certain direction. There's a lot of options. And if you still think that some of these things are harder to reach, that's because if you use the flipper wheel and dash forward, if you hit accelerate as soon as the dash begins, you go faster. Later down the line, you also unlock a little propeller, which will allow you to jump extra high. And you know they make use of that to hide all kinds of stuff. I absolutely love this movement set. You're dashing and flying and jumping around all over the place. Listen, they might be technically right by saying it doesn't have a jump button, but come on. You can jump. You can do more than jump. And one of the great things I think this game does is not be afraid to make you utilize this skill set. If you want to 100% complete this game, you're going to have to know how to do all these moves and do them efficiently, because some of the extra levels at the end, oh my god. But of course, I did it. I completed every single level, got all the gears, got all of the bunnies, got all of the achievements, and got a majority of the hats. There's one specific hat which requires like 5,000 coins, and I haven't bothered yet. So there are 250 gears in the game. You only need 125, or roughly about half anyway, to actually beat the game. On my playthrough, it took about 6 hours, give or take, but completing it put on quite a bit more playtime, especially since you're going for the golden rabbits. This is the collectible that you need to get if you want to play the end game levels. You need all of the bunnies in a specific level to unlock the extra level associated with it. Just getting the golden bunnies alone requires a pretty good handle on the controls, but these levels actually really test your abilities. And in general, unlocking them as the end game bonus is actually really rewarding and very fun. And while I will say you don't unlock anything for 100%ing the game, unless the hats are part of that and I'm just not aware, but as far as I could find, there wasn't anything. There is something special for specifically getting all the gears. I'm not spoiling that. You need to see it yourself. It's hilarious. I totally recommend doing the 100% just because, well, it's just fun. Guys, I love playing this game. There isn't many times a game can come out of nowhere and really surprise me, like really just fill me with a childlike joy I haven't felt in so long. It's kind of weird to say that. It makes it sound kind of, I don't know, sad, really? Like, oh, I haven't experienced joy in so long. That's not what I meant. But I'm sure you know what I mean, right? There's like a level, right? You enjoy a thing, but then there's another level above that where, like, it surprises you. Like, wow. I genuinely cannot recommend this game enough. If you are a fan of 3D platformers and you've listened to this entire video, even though I was warning people that experiencing this game is part of the reason why I loved it. This game is my game of the year so far, and I am putting out there as one of my favorite games that I've played in a very, very long time. And I want more people to know about it. Even if the amount of people that played it tomorrow tripled, I would still think that is not enough. I will literally scream and shout about this game to the heavens until people, like, tell me to shut up. So yeah, could you tell I enjoyed my time with Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom? Honestly, I'm holding back. I could talk about this game for hours. There are so many standout moments that I love about this game, and there's so many little things as well. I know that I usually do these videos as opinion pieces, and I will genuinely talk about the whole experience, especially the end game, but I think for this particular scenario, I want to make an exception. Yeah, I just had to talk about Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on the development team, what they do next, because I am there. I will be first in line. But thank you for watching this video. Are you planning to play Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom? I'd love to know. Or if you've already played it, do you agree with everything I said? Or maybe you have something you want to mention that I didn't. I do know some people really do find that gameplay change to be a bit of a make or break, so give me the heads up if you felt that way. But thank you for watching this episode of Pixelated Bytes, and I'll see you next time. Oh my god, we've made it to the end of another video. Big shout out to my supporters, I'm greatly appreciative. And of course, a big shout out to everyone who made it this far. I wanted this video to come out sooner, but a big project kind of got in the way, and so it delayed it a bit. So hey, I would love if you left the video a like, as well as subscribed if you aren't already. I've had a return as of late, so if you've missed my last 2 videos before this, they will be linked above. I should really write down my camera settings and lighting setup so I can actually have it be consistent. Oh, but hey, we'll see how it goes. Oh, goodbye!